You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's Celebrity Apprentice After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV Celebrity Apprentice After Show.
Hello. Oh, that's my favorite song right there.
This song.
It's my least favorite song right now. I will tell you
Get
that
outta
after a
here.
3-hour episode. I never want to hear that song again.
You may not want to hear the song, but we all want money, 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 okay? Hey now.
I want it without the strings attached to Celebrity Apprentice.
There we
Man.
go. Bing is for doing, and we are doing another AfterBuzz show right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. We are here in the studio getting through a 3-hour episode. I didn't even know they did 3-hour episodes. Celebrity Apprentice.
Man.
This is season number 12, episode number 7, Walking Papers. And there were some people walking. There was really a lot that went on today's episode. We will talk about meltdowns. Kristen has some news, 2 different challenges, charities, the whole deal. But before we do any of that, we will introduce ourselves. My name is Ronnie Jr. Hello, I'm a big Celebrity Apprentice fan. And of course, thank you, nice people that are clapping for me. Next to me, I have the amazingly talented creator of EatonAsian.com. It is a website, and she is known as...
Kimlai.
There you go. Across the table, we have
Kimlai Yingling.
Kimlai
Thank you.
Yingling. She does have a last name. We have a writer, a comedian, Kristen.
Carney.
And then we have Alina Akram as well.
A celeb apprentice fan.
There we go. Oh! That's a much bigger clap and round of applause than I got, so you're doing very, very well.
Well, I didn't get any, but...
You guys, 3 hours worth of this television program, and I don't even know... Like, I would watch Biggest Loser in the day, and 2 hours was really a lot. 3 hours of this, but basically, as Kimlai, you were saying, it was like 2 shows just put together for the most part.
It was, and I'm glad. Oh my gosh, considering that the first show went from their, the challenge straight to the boardroom, and boom, it was over. That show can obviously be done in an hour.
Jumping in real quick, I do want to take all of you to the boardroom because, as Ronnie introduces everybody, comedian Kristen Carney, EatonAsian.com. But what about Alina? She's a producer over at Extra. That's huge.
I just didn't know she was.
are?
I didn't know she was really.
I didn't know that.
I just got to like you so much better.
Sometimes
We like to-
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, sometimes it's cooler to
that.
not really bring all that juice. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm just a celeb apprentice fan. Here.
Cooler!
silly.
That's what our fans want to know. And guess what? Oh, while we're on the subject, we want to know what you think over there as you're listening. And so go to iTunes, rate and comment. And not only that, you got to tell a friend. And I'm going to get fired right now because Kier's coming.
No, like Ronnie, it's cool to not tell our fans about the credibility we have. Actually, one of the best entertainment shows
Okay,
on television, actually in
come
the
on.
world, and that's cool. Okay.
all right.
All right, let's move
Thank you for that.
on.
Tonight someone's getting fired.
Let's go.
Yeah.
John and Phil will be my eyes and ears.
Oh, here
Maria
we go.
makes us credible enough, so we feel humble.
No, Alina, we do know is great. And when we talk with Alina, she does. Let me tell you what she does do as far as being on this show with us. We're here, and this is not going to be the Alina show, but no, literally, we are here watching Celebrity Apprentice for like hours on end. Usually the 2 hours. Today was 3 hours, and Alina always says, "Oh, I got to be up real early for this producing job." So
I always thought she was a drug dealer. I didn't know.
Well, that's
Oh
on
my
the side.
gosh.
Legitimately-
No, she's not Armenian. Remember, we already found out.
legitimately, she does get up at 4 in the morning and helps that great show Extra. So I'm sure later on, as we go with Celebrity Apprentice, you're gonna probably even have some maybe some news. You know, you never know.
Maybe.
I'm sure Teresa would probably do an interview over there at Extra. You know,
Yes.
should they have
She's
something?
done some interviews,
Yeah.
and we actually had Lou Ferrigno and George Takei and Aubrey on.
Yeah.
But before the show started,
Got
so
it.
I don't have any
Yeah.
information.
But
you
as
guys don't
new
know.
stuff comes in, you'll definitely let us
I'll
know.
let you guys know.
Cool. We're teaming up with Alina. That's always a good thing. Real quick, and as we're doing all these plugs too, we might as well say Extra and Maria. It all ties in. Maria Menounos on Dancing with the Stars. Let's please vote for her. She does a really good job. And one thing that I like, and you could probably speak on this too, about Maria on this show, is we see within Dancing with the Stars, we're used to seeing her as the reporter, and you see a lot of that. You probably see a little bit more of a personality-based thing, and I think that's what's good about watching her on Dancing with the Stars.
Definitely, you get to see her
You get a little
personality
extra.
shine.
Yeah.
And she works so freaking hard.
Yeah.
And I see that, and people need to vote for her because she's not only sweet, but she's really, really, really working hard for this.
That's it.
So-
And it helps us here at AfterBuzz. So let's do this. We'll do the 2 charity payoffs. We've never really had 2 payoffs, in one particular episode.
shows.
Or 2 shows mixed together.
goodness.
We started off with the charity that Clay had to pay off. Kimlai, you wanted to break down a little bit how that worked out. This was Clay Aiken. He won last
Yep.
episode.
Clay was from last week. Mm-hmm. And
Dee Snyder ended up winning for the next week. Well, within the
for
same
this week.
episode.
Yes, and so they did a
saw
little
a
bit
lot.
on Clay's. In past weeks, we've talked about how people and their charities, and how some aren't really connected to the charity, and they just do it because of their celebrity status, their celebrityism. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
It is now. And it was so awesome tonight because Clay, with the Inclusion Project, I mean, that's something that he started 8 years ago. And that's where it's very similar to Special Olympics, and where it allows people with disabilities to be, to intermix with people with no disabilities. And then Dee Snyder's, his project, the March of Dimes.
This was
has-
2 of his children were actually born premature.
And he
So
had to
both
utilize.
Hit close to home.
I
that
love it. I always
foundation.
tell you, we get about, today we got 2 hours and 40 something minutes of drama, but it is nice to see this. We see the personal side. We see why these people are fighting. Very amusing to me in a good, lighthearted way when we get to see that. So those were the 2 payoffs. And I was going to tell you about our news that we do have. Somebody has a plastic face, and Kristen will tell us about that later on in the episode here with AfterBuzz. So let's do
setup.
challenge number 1. I know I sort of mentioned the person already. Challenge number 1. Oh, and of course we'll talk about the one cast member that one has a meltdown and one walks off the set. A lot going on today's 3-hour episode. But we start off a great little challenge, celebrity guide books. So this is kind of what the 2 teams are doing. At this point, they are still male and female, the 2 different teams. What are you guys' take on the way they put those projects together? We have Teresa as one project manager, and we have Dee Snyder as the other. How do you think the 2 did in comparison? We'll go sort of quickly because we do have a lot to cover in today's episode.
I agree with the outcome of the women winning for their guidebook. It just looked a lot more professional, I want to say. They had a nice cover. It was cute that they added their personal favorite spots and took pictures there. So I did like their book, but however, at the end we saw that didn't really matter. It was more of a fundraising task.
It was interesting because you won kind of by if Regis thought it was good, but then you also won if you made the most money.
Yeah, well, there were 2 challenges, and I think the main thing was whoever brought the most money in, that's who was going to win.
That was the judging criteria.
Yes, and then the book was secondary,
The book was like the cherry on top.
but it did bring Regis onto the show.
Like your
and
cupcake can
New
still be
York.
bad if you have a cherry on top. It didn't really have much to do with it. It was like the whole point of having the book was to have something to sell so that they could
Yes.
get money.
But
so it didn't
Toshiba?
really play. Toshiba was the one donating money for the $35,000 for who had the best book.
So there was a payoff. But
There was
that
a
didn't
payoff.
mean that you would win.
Right.
And so the men's team
The men's team
By-
took
by
it.
a whopping
$14.
Yes, we all, I believe, said that together at the same time because that is so crazy that $14 really made the difference here for someone going home tonight. And we saw that was Debbie, and I
Yeah.
won't get into that quite yet, but can you believe that small of a margin actually sent one of our ladies home.
Yeah. $14. And every time Donald does anything, he makes it such a big deal. In the first time in the history of
Right.
television, $14. So I thought it was going to be this, very interesting concept, but really it was just $14 was the difference between the men and the females. Females do end up having to push. Yes.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
his look.
No, I
Donald.
was getting ready to say something. It's like, well, wait, no, I'll say no, wait.
There was so much. Yeah.
One of the things too, he also mentioned in regards to just not the 14 was like the narrowest margin ever, but this is the most money that the Celebrity Apprentice teams have ever made
He
in
did
the
that
history.
too. The most
So,
ever.
And it was pretty amazing. How much did they raise together?
Over $1 million.
Wow. Well,
No,
so far on the
so
show.
far on the show.
A lot.
Together it
A
was
whole lot.
together. I don't know. it was-
Millions. There you go.
It was 326,000 for March of Dimes.
I was going to say, yeah, there was that.
So that's Dee's.
Well, this episode,
charity.
it felt like was one episode where Donald and his production team, they really were big on they threw us like 15, 20 different numbers. Everything was world breaking.
Yeah.
Every
Yes.
single, so it was a little bit, a lot to gather there.
I think Teresa and I think Dee were both pretty boring in terms of their management. They didn't impress me either way. Neither of them I thought had great leadership skills, but neither of them were,
Well,
Diana.
What did Teresa say? Well, we've been doing this for 7 weeks. Everyone should know what you need to do.
right. So it was a
Yeah,
little
true.
bit underwhelming in that sense. But I will say that I besides their management skills, I thought that I didn't like that Penn was really I think
You're talking about the task, I think, right?
yes, and how Penn had the Blue Man Group come and throw that money basically to the wind.
It didn't
and
make
I just thought
sense,
that was,
Kristen.
I get Penn. I like him. I get him. I get the way he thinks. But I thought that was like kind of condescending of him, as Clay would say, to just let that money go and say, nope, that was everyone's money until we actually grabbed it.
What did he
That
say? He
was-
goes, that money was for a charity, and if people, it had nothing to do with this foundation, got some of that
Then
money,
it's still
then
charity.
it's still charity.
Yeah. But that's like,
It's
okay,
like,
buddy, you're pushing it.
Oh, yeah. I just,
Well,
yeah,
and then
I did not
at the
agree
end of
with
the
that.
day, the males could have lost
Exactly.
for $14,
And
to have
look
that
at that.
I mean,
Penn slipped by like
He makes
right
sense.
under the radar on
he
that.
makes sense what he's saying, but that nonchalant attitude is just no one on
Yeah.
the team really wants to have to deal with that.
After
it
you
didn't make
put in
any sense to me.
After you put
No,
in
I
that
thought
much,
he
He was,
after you put in that much hard work to have someone like Penn, who's part of your team, to kind of lowball it and say, well, it really doesn't matter, is just kind of disrespectful. And I'm surprised because out of all people, I would think that he would not say that.
but I
So,
think he was also trying to save himself a bit.
Yes.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know, and I think he did know he made a little mistake, and then he had to.
Do you think
had
he
to
knew
say
the Blue Man
something.
Group was going to do that? Do you think he knew that?
He probably knew that they were going to throw some sort of antic-y thing that
Yeah.
was going to cause a weird scene. And I do think that,
Yeah,
like,
we had said, yeah.
right. Ronnie and I had mentioned that it's great to do something to create a scene because you're going to get more for people to then therefore donate. However, the amount of people wouldn't have that they're going to
Amounted.
donate $5, $10 would not supersede the amount they would have gotten from the Blue Man Group's full count of money,
$8,000.
$8,000. So.
And it was nice to see the Andretti's come out and donate money.
Yeah.
Michael
That was
donated
awesome.
20,000 to the men. Marco like 7,000
Yes,
to the women.
I was like, that was nice. I mean,
That's
each group,
nice.
It's like a drop in the bucket for
Yeah.
him.
you know, that was. I thought that was.
I mean,
really
he
nice.
was fired. He didn't have to come back.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Challenge-wise, as far as the books themselves, which was ultimately judged by Regis, we're just like, why is Regis here?
Because he's retired.
New York.
He doesn't know what else to do.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
show,
yeah, I mean,
helps people come
yeah,
back.
Yeah,
And he's the Don's friend.
yeah, they had a nice little fun exchange. What did you guys initially? Were you like, yes, I like the women's book better, or I like the men's book? And also, let's speak on the real quick sort of feud that went on between Lisa getting mad at Diana because Lisa said, I put in all this work for this book. It's almost done, and in the 11th hour, Diana comes up with an idea. Give me your take on some of these types of things here.
I wouldn't call it a feud. I would call it Lisa
Bullying.
Lisa attack.
going crazy on Diana. And she did have a point. I mean, Diana was giving pointless ideas last minute. And nothing could have been done because I think they were literally finishing up the book, and she was suggesting things.
In
A little
Lisa's
too little.
in
much too
Diana's defense, I I will say I kind of agree with Lisa. I can see where she's coming from. But in Diana's defense, maybe she was saying things all along and they just don't really want to listen to her. And they're just like, shut up, shut up, shut up. No matter what you say, I'm going to tell you to shut up. Because regardless, it's not a great idea. It's not a really good way for Lisa to speak to Diana because it's going to create a really negative environment. And I get Lisa. She's a roast master. You know, she rips people to shreds and makes millions of dollars off of it. But it's like in the right opportunity that works. And I feel like just ripping Diana another one is really, you know.
She didn't have to take it to that extent. She could have communicated what she was trying to say without ripping her to pieces.
You know what? We're almost at the end of the project. Thanks for the input.
But these people are like
forging ahead.
It's like these people have been put in this small cage and there's like one piece of meat and they're all starting to go a little crazy now.
Yeah, we are on
they're
spaz moment.
Lisa is definitely starting to lose
They're
it.
breaking,
I wrote that.
breaking down.
I always
But what is
appreciate
going on with
I always
her?
appreciate what Lisa brings to the table, of course, and you know she has it. She has a winning factor about her. But
She's
the thing
smart.
is, I feel like when we watch this show, you guys, we could all incorporate it in our regular everyday life because Lisa, her only problem, I would say, is you can't put all that pressure on yourself and sort of walk around in the group and she like grabs the pressure, scoops it up. Maybe Aubrey sets up the idea, but Lisa absorbs it and then get mad at people like that. I don't like. And again, we watched the show and I don't know how many times Kristen and I related it to like personal things that we can do to get better as people. And I think that's maybe one of the other reasons why Celebrity Apprentice people enjoy.
I've already tried everything. Nothing works. You'll never get good.
Well,
Whatever.
But so that would be my only gripe with Lisa. And really, it's we kind of scoot over as far as this show today. We kind of scooted over this first challenge because NBC knew we had a lot more to get to.
It seems like it was 24 years ago that we watched the first part of this
portion.
episode. It seems
is.
so long ago.
There wasn't much to it. I'm trying to think. There was a little like Debbie versus Teresa. There was a funny.
Let's talk about that
real quick. There was
That
a
was
funny
the first one?
Boardroom.
Yeah, boardroom. There was a first funny little Aubrey saying, "I just want to go to the other team," and they said, "We don't want you," which later that ends up happening. But go ahead and speak on what you thought about Teresa versus the no longer casted Debbie.
I'm just happy to see Teresa out of her spaghetti pasta shell. Like I just am so
She's
glad that
back.
she came
Yes,
and
she's
showed her personality. I have a thing where just Debbie Gibson pushes me the wrong way, even though I've never met her. She just, when you watch her, you want to say kind of shut up. And I think Teresa, even though Teresa's argument wasn't smart, it wasn't articulate, she didn't really have anything to say exactly about why Debbie should go home besides like the lower amount of money that she had donated. It was really catty.
Her boobs and her
Yes.
skanky
Yeah,
look
Her
and
unprofessional
her
dress.
And I was just happy to see it come out because if Teresa got eliminated, say tonight, and we hadn't seen that part of her at all, I'd be like, what the heck? Why would she
And
even
I
be on
think
the show?
We were all waiting for that.
Yeah,
for her
so
to show
she
her
can
true
go
self.
now, and I'd be fine. I got to see a little bit of her. Now set yourself free,
The weird
Teresa.
thing is we do see Teresa get like that, but then she does compose herself a little bit though quickly.
Because she has had so much practice fighting.
Okay.
She's like a
Okay.
pro.
Yeah, she's good at this.
Yes.
This is what she does.
This is her profession.
Did you guys think Debbie walked out, with class, with dignity at the end? She's
Not in that dress. And I'm
my
not
God.
here
It
to-
was horrible.
And I'm not here to
But-
talk about looks, and I could care less about women's looks, but do not wear that dress. Do not wear that dress. If Diana was wearing that dress, I'd say, well,
it'd be
it's
different.
pushing
It would be different.
But Debbie,
know.
come on.
Way different.
Just
Yeah.
she has
Okay.
and I know Ronnie is really into the fact that she's so oblivious. Like he let you like that about her.
I don't even know how to term it, but yes, I like the
Yeah.
fact that if anybody somebody help me with the term on this, 424-256-7229. My term is when somebody, and maybe it's even me, is so ridiculous. Usually when you're ridiculous, you kind of get a sense that everyone around you thinks you're ridiculous. She doesn't care and is still,
She's in her own world.
and I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah.
Like, she's okay with just
Yeah.
being completely corny or goofy.
Well, what did
or,
she say in the elevator? She was talking about Donald Trump. He could take my.
Oh, but he can't take away Debbie Gibson.
Yeah.
So
Oh
in the
my
end, I win. In the end, I
gosh.
win.
I appreciate
It's
that.
like, but
soundbite.
then we all lose because you're still here.
And did somebody make a comment about her good singing or not good
Yes.
singing? Was that a Teresa thing?
Teresa said, oh, well, maybe you're a good singer. Because Donald said, wouldn't you give her that she is talented? And Teresa
Yeah.
said,
She
well,
said-
maybe. You were popular in the 80s, but that's about it.
And
then
she
Debbie,
was also capping on her age. Teresa was capping on Debbie's age, that
Yes.
she's so much older than her.
yeah, and Debbie said,
I mean, it got really.
well, I'm a businesswoman that has had a career for 25 years, Teresa. So, and Teresa hasn't had a career for
That's a
25
decent
years
point.
yet. So,
That's
yeah.
we got to back Debbie a little bit
Yeah.
on that. I mean, Teresa gets a lot of credit because she's like it now and she's like, doing something right now. But again, we've seen like, I don't know. I mean, maybe shouldn't talk about like an Omarosa, but like reality people have been up and made things happen for a quick 4 years, and then their lives simmer down into a different type of thing. Teresa's fairly new, so let's give that credit, I guess, to Debbie. But why would I really defend Debbie that much? Let me move right along. We'll go to challenge number 2. Real quick, I wanted to use this time to let everyone know that we do appreciate, especially Kristen, she loves this, when you guys comment on our iTunes page. She really loves that. She
I
lives
don't.
for it.
Not so far.
When you comment on our YouTube page and also on the iTunes, really go on there and rate the show. Like, we really love that. We work hard for you. Obviously, like I said, Alina wakes up at about 3 in the morning to go to Extra.
It keeps getting earlier.
I was just going to say that. First it was 4.
She actually just has to leave
and
from
now
here.
it's 3.
Yeah.
And Kristen is a comedy writer, so Jay Leno's hiring her tonight. So as soon as she leaves here, she's going across town, and we're all
Pick up
doing
Jay's.
we're all
Oh my
doing a lot.
gosh.
We're all doing
exactly
so
true.
much around here, and we just want you to do us that favor. That's solid, and write to us on YouTube, write to us on iTunes, and rate us the best show that you like to interact with, and we love to hear from you too. So if you guys want opinions or you want to get in on it, the phone calls are always open as well, and all that social media stuff. Anyways, challenge number 2. This show got really good on challenge number 2. I think your mindset when you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God, I got to put 3 hours is a long time for any fan, But then once it got going,
Especially for a non-fan. No, I'm just kidding.
Once the you love the show, or you love hanging out with us. Once the roller coaster got going, it became something. I mean, we saw multiple meltdowns. We saw somebody apparently has walked off the show. They don't. In the previews for the next episode, it's like very strategic in the way they edit it. So I don't know if this person comes back. And I certainly went to this person's Twitter to find out if they're coming back. You kind of never know.
Okay,
Well,
why don't we start from the top, of
Yeah.
the show? I mean, him putting the people that did not want to be together
Yes.
together. I mean, now we're combining the men and the women, and oh my God, Aubrey's face. I mean, oh my goodness. So now we've got Aubrey with Arsenio, and Arsenio did not want Aubrey,
Yeah.
and then he kept Lisa and Diana together. It's like, that's so brilliant.
They know TV.
You
Yeah.
know he was going to do that, though, but that was so brilliant.
Out of all those moves,
Oh my
who do you
gosh.
think sat there the most like, yes, I'm loving my new team? I have somebody in my mind.
Teresa.
I was
easy.
gonna say her too.
Okay. I was gonna say Diana.
Teresa
I was gonna
too.
say Diana. Even though she still has to be with Lisa, she's got a different mentality. The guys are embracing her, and Diana, because Donald pushes her every week, we see a little favoritism, which is okay. It's not okay, but we're used to it now. You don't really like it. Alina doesn't love
I don't
it.
think he favors her.
Oh,
Oh,
he does.
totally
he babies
favors
her
her.
like he's got her wrapped up in a blanket, like which is, what Donald does. It's
He
fine.
plays devil's advocate with everybody besides her. He
Yes.
always
There's
has something good to say.
nothing
Well,
to
Diana
play
raised the
with
most
her
money.
yet,
Diana raised a lot of
though.
money, though, didn't she? Blah, blah, blah.
Well,
But with everybody else,
maybe in his perception, it's what she actually has done. She hasn't really played sly, slick, wicked. She hasn't done
She has
anything
been
wrong.
under the radar.
And every time she is in the boardroom, she does play it very smooth, very quiet. She doesn't have confrontations. She's very classy. She
Very.
speaks articulately, and it's like none of that comes out in the challenges. So Donald's seeing her good side. I mean, she has all good sides, but like he's especially seeing the one that has to do with business that she doesn't show to the women that she's working with.
Oh, well,
so his
but-
take on her is so much different than theirs.
And our take, I mean, all we're seeing is what? I mean, we already know that there's so much stuff that they edit out that we really don't know.
Yeah.
we really don't know, but
I
the way
just-
they portray it.
I love this aspect of the teams coming together. You had two people
I do
that
too.
you had two people that stepped up. You have Lou on the one team, and then you have Arsenio on the other. The task at hand was for Walgreens, which not to be confused with Walmart.
Or CVS.
Which I know.
I know.
You thought it was
I
CVS.
shop at CVS. I think that's
Yeah.
why it was
Like,
in my
are we
head.
talking
But it
about-
didn't rhyme.
Yeah.
Walk with
Are we
CVS.
talking about
I'm like,
CVS?
Well, one of the cast members, and we'll get into this in a second, did say Walmart instead of Walgreens. So that's never fun.
Penn did go by in tonight's episode twice with making two big mistakes: the balloons with the money flying and the Walmart. But Penn
the
is a
balloons
strong
thing,
player.
I don't know know if he admitted to a fault though. That was more of an opinion.
Yeah, well, his opinion was that it was fine, which I think could be seen as a wrong opinion if they lost. If they lost by $14.
How do you think Arsenio did? And the reason we could do the same with like how did Lou do as a project manager? How did Arsenio? But the reason I want to bring up Arsenio is I think it's going to get to our end conversation with people that are very nice and have like this explosion later. I mean, I just in personal life also I see it, and it's something that I've maybe even went through at some point where you're like you try so not hard to be this great person. Arsenio does, but then he has a crazy meltdown and he looks foolish.
Everybody has a limit.
And I feel
but
like
I think people are forgiving of him on that. I think
I don't think the way he acted they were forgiving. Later on.
No, there are people like me out there that don't have the same worldview that you might have or someone else might have, and they see Arsenio coming down on Aubrey as it's about effing time. It's about time, and he didn't make that big of a fool of himself because Aubrey did things to culminate to that moment. He did not make up anything that Aubrey was doing. If he went crazy and all of a sudden Aubrey didn't do anything and she's this innocent angel sitting there and he's like, I hate you, then it would be crazy.
In the NBC clip, you see that he does go on to use the word W, C, and
B.
Yeah, C being the worst one, but so nothing justifies that. My only point, and we'll get more to this after because I want to get through the challenge. But you do got to be aware that don't try to play it the right way. Expose yourself earlier on and communicate better, because if you spaz out like that, it doesn't look good for you.
You need to be more assertive and aggressive as a leader. And just because Aubrey is really controlling and she is strong and arrogant, he kind of let her get away with stuff.
Way under.
Yeah, he definitely did.
I think it's easier said than done sometimes.
Yes.
It is easier said than done.
Yeah,
but
let's all admit
that's the difference between a good leader and a bad leader.
Let's all admit that we had Aubrey O'Day on the show, and she talked 95% of our hour and 20 whatever minutes we had because it was very difficult to get a word in edgewise. So I can imagine being in a room with her, trying to work with her. I tried to ask her a couple questions, and she didn't answer my questions and went on her own tangent. So we saw it, or I saw it firsthand. So I can't imagine being in this environment where you're squished together for weeks on end, or whatever, how many weeks, and you're forced to be together, thinking of ideas, creatively getting a job done, when you have somebody who's so overbearing that sometimes you put your hands up in the air and you say, I can't compete with this. She's too much. And that's honestly what I kind of did in our interview. I couldn't compete with her. So I backed down.
Well, there's the reality show. I'm going to sell you and her in the same room.
Well, it'd just be her talking and me crying in the corner in fetal position.
Yeah. I think with Arsenio, it was easier. I don't think it makes him any less of a leader, but I think a leader also knows when it's just easier to back down,
to take the high road, and
absolutely
that's what he did until a certain extent, and then he lost it.
Yeah, but he did. But then he chose to go off on her and go on an extreme tangent in the boardroom. I thought that was strategic.
Yeah, I thought that was inappropriate.
He was holding on to it, and he could have done it when they were working together. And I think he could have just been a little more assertive.
But yeah, that's absolutely true. But I think if he lost his mind on Aubrey as they were working, they wouldn't have won the task. And I think maybe he held it back because you could see that whole time he was pained, but he was trying so hard to not say anything. And I think in the boardroom, like Ronnie said, when you're kind of too nice for too long, it explodes. And I think he was just trying to keep it together for the team's sake. And then he got in the boardroom and just could go blah and just get it all off his chest because he couldn't during the execution.
Let's stick more to the challenge, but it did seem like he did. It was so 0 to 60. It was very all of a sudden that fuse was lit. But let's talk about what even got us there. And how do you guys even think how he did as a project manager? By sitting back, letting Aubrey kind of run it, and then you also have Lou and his team. Yes,
Kevin from the booth. Hi, everybody.
Hello,
Hi.
Okay, just about Aubrey. Now, this is one of our guests. She's gracious enough to come in here, okay, and sit with us. We are a super fan network. We're fans of these shows. I get what you guys are saying, but I'm going to throw this back on you. As experienced hosts, it's your job to be able to handle that. Any star is going to come in, and if you just give them a mic and let them talk, they're going to talk. Now, you have another kind of star that's actually kind of quiet and introverted, like a Robert De Niro, and they're going to go the other way. And again, your job is going to be to bring it out in them. So all I'm saying is don't judge her on that, because I tell you right now, you bring Maria in here, she's going to do the same thing. You see Maria on the Dancing with the Stars after show? I remember saying to Phil, does she even know what we do here? I mean, if you see Maria at the Dancing with the Stars after show, we're getting these great exclusives with Sherry and some of the other dancers, and Maria's like literally jumping in and just going off on a tangent and talking and talking and talking. And that's what they do. And what you guys have to do is wrangle and bring them in. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents.
Thank you. Are we back from commercial break?
Hey,
But that was my point with
Are we
Arsenio.
back on
He
air?
should have been more assertive.
Kevin, and I totally obviously appreciate what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that I witnessed her firsthand the way that these people who had to work with her on Celebrity Apprentice witnessed her. And so I'm just attesting to to Arsenio's argument with her tonight is valid because I felt her personality times 1,000. And so basically that's why I'm referencing that, because I felt like it was so obvious what she has to be like on Celebrity Apprentice we experienced here.
All right, Ronnie, do you agree?
With what Kristen's saying, I think for one, if this was a moment of us getting fired, I wouldn't have outwardly thrown out something that we didn't do good at. Is kind of which derived you to even start talking.
No, forget about you. It's not about you. It's about Aubrey.
Well, no, I don't think she's doing. No, I don't think Aubrey is a terrible person on that show. I think she does a great job on that show.
But that's not what
Kristen
we're
was not
talking
saying
about.
she was a terrible person either. Do you agree with what Kristen said?
I just said she's overbearing, and that's basically my point. That doesn't mean you're a bad person if you're
No,
overbearing.
because she's out there giving opinions that are pushing the show, not the show, pushing their task. Arsenio, at the end of the day, he wins the task from a lot of contributions that she puts through. So I don't know how I could even ever say that what she's doing by being too much or whatever is causing a problem, because, if she does sit back, where do they go from there? I don't.
All right, that's it. I'm out.
All right, then.
Thanks,
Well, thank
Kevin.
you for the words. Okay, so we also have Lou. We could return with that also, but we do have Lou Ferrigno as the project manager.
Mm-hmm.
His one aspect of yes, ma'am. Yes.
Did we talk about what the task was?
Go.
I'm like,
jump right to it.
wait. Yes, it's a live. They had to create a live interactive segment for Walgreens, and Walgreens is trying to promote walking. How to get back into walking. It's a new program that they have.
Walk with Walgreens.
Walk with Walgreens. And so each team was supposed to create an interactive video and do a presentation, which was that the interactive video?
It was the presentation.
And who was judging? Allison Sweeney?
Yes,
Yes,
from
the
Love
host of
Soap,
Biggest
Soaps
Loser.
and Biggest Loser. Yep.
Yes. And then, of course, the executives from Walgreens were the ones judging. And did you guys have a favorite?
I thought Lou's team was going to win for sure.
I did too.
I agree with that.
They looked hooked on Lou's heartfelt speech. Mm-hmm. And they seemed to have smiles on their face versus when they were watching the other project managed by Arsenio. They looked confused a little bit. Their faces were going like,
they didn't explain it. They didn't set it up, though. Remember, we were talking about that.
It was
the
a lot.
wheel, and it was a game show.
And I think really what lost it for the other team is the itching and the scratching.
I know.
That's
Well,
what
that was bad, and that was what Diana said.
And
We
kudos
shouldn't.
to Diana.
Yeah, we shouldn't have
One
anything.
smart thing she said.
Well, yeah,
called
as I
stop
said earlier,
it.
you should never have in a presentation of any sort. You shouldn't ever try to bring out something negative, and that's saying these are the things you
That's
could
what
do.
I do for a living.
Well, you're a fantastic comedian there. Things that you could do walking that are bad, or what is itching, scratching, that just didn't work. So,
And
but it was also a
Yeah.
boring look too. We got to give it that. It didn't look good.
It would blend in the store.
And it was on the box. They didn't say it during the presentation.
Yeah.
It was on the brand's box.
I think
right there
that
for
team
everybody to
won
see.
possibly just because it was more interesting and entertaining with the message that had been pushed out. Is kind of how
Face
Diana,
reality.
I mean, they did everything. I mean, the brand managing. I mean, if you think about it, the girl. Oh, gosh, I keep wanting to say the girls team.
no longer.
I'm confused now. Who are they? They still kept their names, right? Now they're just mixed.
Yeah. I think
Unanimous is the team with
Arsenio.
Aubrey and Arsenio.
Okay,
Yes.
and then Forte now has Lisa and Diana.
Penn.
But Penn
Lou
as
was
well.
the leader. Yeah.
But if you look at what the three things that they were judging, I mean, I know which one did you like better?
I think I liked. You know what? As a group performance, I liked Lisa. I liked Diana. I liked Penn. With the mistake, I still liked them better.
Okay, I was like, there's so much to process.
Yeah.
That group. Okay, Forte.
It was easier to understand.
Forte.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you look at the criteria, the brand BM, I keep wanting to say bowel movement. Every time I write BM, brand marketing.
Messaging.
Brand messaging.
Brand messaging.
I need to spell that out next time. The kit design and the overall presentation, It did. I mean, if you just take those three things, Arsenio's team did have all of those three elements.
I thought their kit design was better, unanimous.
You talking about the
But
colors?
Forte
colors
did
and
not.
stuff?
But Forte had the better presentation, in my opinion.
But-
Live presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Unanimous had all three. They
Right.
really did have all three.
Right.
I guess.
Might have been middle of the road, but they had all three elements, where Forte did not.
Yes. Yeah. And it really was a deal breaker because you can do the best performance you can do on stage. It's still not going to win them over if you don't follow
Just
their brand
like
messaging.
pageants.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to be good. You can't just be the best at talent, but suck at swimsuit. You have got to be
An overall
all across.
package.
So sometimes
Sure.
an even keel is better than really good here and really not
which
so
is
good here.
Diana.
Yeah. It's exactly that.
And did you guys have a sense of which team was going to win? Like, did you right off the top? Did you have a favorite going into it? Or?
I thought lose. I
I did
really
too.
liked.
I thought they were going
like,
to win too.
do something while you walk. I thought that was a really good way to get people who we live in a busy world. We multitask all the time, and I thought it was a really good idea. Bad execution with the itching and the scratching, because when you walk, you're not multitasking because you can scratching isn't on your to do list for the day. So I
Yeah.
think they should have
Well,
stuck
not for
to
us.
They should have stuck to the to-do list more. So like you can call your mother, you can do your taxes or whatever, just stuff like that. That would have been more sufficient for a brand like Walgreens.
They were just more clear in their message, I thought. Maybe not the
Forte.
actual packaging. Yeah,
Forte, okay.
But the presentation was definitely a lot clearer.
Lou was heart. Oh my gosh! Everyone
when
seemed
Lou's-
connected.
And in the little initial meeting when Lou said no, like he kind of
Yeah, he
stepped
snapped on D.
up and said, "No, I'm the project manager and I'm gonna do this heartfelt thing." I will honestly admit, I don't know if the rest of you guys sat there like, I don't know about this one, Lou, but he did really bring it and he really communicated
He was
well.
a great host.
Once Penn got up there with him too, it was it did what it needed to do, which was Penn, sold information, but Lou was passionate. I thought he looked cool up there. Everything was really, really impressive. you
Yeah,
know?
and Diana did really step up with stepping in with improvising when Penn said Walmart. She's not a perform. I mean, she's doing the Miss Universe, but she's not doing improv or anything like that. And she stepped right in and carried the show along.
Yeah,
while there
comedic
was that
relief.
downbeat.
What do
She
you
stepped
think,
right in.
Kristen? Was she funny?
I wouldn't say funny. She was cute. She was cute.
yeah, it was a good thing to do.
Someone that pretty can't be funny.
Whatever. I'm really glad they put her in a one piece. I'm glad they decided to do a one piece instead of a two piece.
Why?
Just I think a
It
two
was more
piece would have been a
professional.
little tacky.
Got it.
Just a side note on that one piece. Do you think the Nike symbol on it they had to pay for to get on the show? I was surprised because it's you usually have to have that brand placement,
think it's
and like
very
legally.
strategic.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they made because they said, oh well, the store luckily is open, so
Yeah,
they ran and got a bathing
like,
suit. So how did she end up with a
Nike.
Nike bathing suit? I figured that had to
And
be
did you-
thrown in there.
All the water bottles had Donald Trump's face on it. Did you see those?
No, luckily.
Wait a
Like
minute. And there
water
was some
too?
Donald Trump commercials
And
and,
the
an Allison Sweeney commercial. I mean, this was like 3
Arsenio
hours.
was in the commercial.
Had they wanted to brainwash us, they certainly could have.
We are
because they
just feeding the Trump bank account right now. We are. It feeds us well.
I don't know why, but I really liked this task or the way we got to, view it and incorporate ourselves into it. I thought it was one of the better ones. Again,
The
too.
second one?
Three
the
3
first
hours.
one?
I just felt like I was left with so many opinions, or I would have done it this way, or I would have done it that way. Even with like Arsenio's team, I do think the colors on the particular packaging were interesting, but it was almost a little too much. So like I had an opinion, on it, and I thought that this task opened that up.
Oh, with the pictures of their faces.
And for
Is that what you're talking about?
yes, well, because I think the world sort of not the world, but the people that care do think I only back Aubrey because I like her so much. No, like I thought that was part of one of the things that wasn't her best opinion, but lo and behold, it was an opinion nonetheless. But I didn't love it. I didn't love the reality TV
Face the reality. I thought that was.
I think
By
it
the
was
way, you-
okay.
It's clever.
I
Ronnie,
thought it was-
you are not wrong in the fact that it did garner a lot of results or opinions rather. And so allow me to
Is
bring
that
in
a phone
another.
call?
Ooh, we have a
I
phone
wanted
call.
to bring in a phone call for you guys, because it felt like the right time to do so.
Yeah, that was a slick way
Phil,
of doing
you just
so.
know. You just know.
Celebrity Apprentice after show. Hello.
Yes. I'm calling. I'm going to really talk about the whole Aubrey thing and Aubrey walking out and things of that nature. I mean, I really didn't like Arsenio's comments, the way he was going about it in the boardroom.
What's your
and
name,
things
sir?
Of that nature. Chaz.
Awesome.
Hi, Chaz.
Hi,
Yeah, so
Chaz. Keep going.
What'd you say?
Keep going.
I really didn't like how his comments were in the boardroom. I really felt like he should have did that in the more earlier stages. Like if you couldn't control Aubrey in the beginning, you should have been able to do that and been able to control her and been able to handle her the way that you needed to get the task done. And I just feel like his comments were just derogatory and disgusting to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I heard some of you guys' comments of saying that you guys didn't kind of like the comments of what Arsenio was saying, but some, like tonight on Twitter, everybody was just going ham on Arsenio tonight for his comments and everything.
Yeah.
But I really didn't, just didn't understand why he was just going hard in the boardroom, and then I really felt really bad for Aubrey, just seeing Aubrey sit there and cry and things of that nature.
Well, I think the pressure definitely got to
The
him.
meltdown, yeah.
You know?
Well, do us this favor.
I think it was a little strategic.
You can only take so much.
Yeah, you can't take away from Arsenio because this game is a game of strategy, and if he saved it for before the boardroom, maybe if they had lost, Aubrey would have stayed and maybe he would have gone. So he's playing the game in a strategy, and everyone will yell and say, you have to have a strategy. And maybe this was his strategy. Maybe it was a low one, or maybe it's below the belt, but you got to do what you got to do to win. And I believe Aubrey is the first person to believe that or to say that.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you follow her on Twitter, she did say to the effect, because everybody was watching her Twitter today, and they were like, "Are you coming back?" And then I guess she said on her Twitter that FYI said something about Donald Trump said that she was supposed to leave was supposed to be the one to leave.
Yeah, I saw something like that on Twitter. Thank you for the phone call, and definitely keep us informed with all this stuff. Go on the iTunes page and write to us. All that stuff works out. The Aubrey thing, it ends up, even because I'm a fan of hers, whatever, but honestly, it is like she becomes a Twitter trending topic. That was one thing that I did see on Twitter today. So obviously it's an impact. She walks off the show, after we do the boardroom. I guess we should just jump right into the boardroom aspect, because it certainly got wild. It's, and like you said, Arsenio, just all of a sudden, what was the big thing that first got him to get mad at her? Was it...
She said I came up with the quotes.
Don't you like that,
I
Lisa?
came up with the
Aren't you
quotes.
proud of me, Lisa?
That was that,
It's like, come on.
Because Arsenio specifically wrote his own quote. And so I think he was already ready to pounce, thinking he probably went into it thinking if she brings up these quotes, I'm going to say that I wrote my own quote. And so I'm sure that he was ready to go with that. He was like, his nails were already out and ready to go. Once she said quote, he was like, I'm in, and threw down the gloves and just barefisted
You guys, seriously, sometimes when our adrenaline gets going and things, it's uncontrollable, and it's so easy for other people to say, well, you know what, but you should have known better, and you know what, sometimes we don't all know better. Sometimes we say and do things that are not appropriate at that time. That doesn't make us a bad person.
No.
We're human. And sometimes our buttons can only be pushed. I'm so passionate right now.
I know, our adrenaline is up right now.
It can only be pushed so far before you crack. And it sucks because then at that point, obviously, you look like a crazy person, and you're not really a crazy person.
And we're not judging anybody's character.
No, just Aubrey's. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
I feel like they're just characters on a TV show right now.
And this is what it is. It's entertainment.
Edited, yes.
It's entertainment.
Exactly. We're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, no matter what, it's helping these charities because it's getting the charities out there.
Yeah, 1.5 million.
What did Teresa say in the commercial of Celebrity Apprentice, as this was before the show started? This was months ago. I'll flip the table for charity. I mean, that's exactly what we're finally seeing. So yeah, we're seeing... Yes, go ahead.
I want to know what you're... Okay, go back to the boardroom real quick, just because I don't want to forget this. But what did you guys think about when... And like the two girls, there's obviously only the two girls there with Clay and
Paul.
Thank you. I did that on purpose. And Arsenio, unanimous. I can't yet get the two teams together because of the guys and the girls of the mix.
They just switched, yeah.
But when Teresa, how did you feel about Teresa? Okay. Do you think she did not stick up for Aubrey when Aubrey was like, well, Teresa, what do you think? Because I thought it was a little odd that she actually went to Teresa.
I thought it was odd too.
I thought it was odd, and I thought she didn't even get to ask her question. I was waiting for her to spit it out. So Teresa, she was kind of confused, just like I was.
I think Teresa was trying to play it safe. I think she wanted to remain close with Aubrey and friends with Aubrey, but I think she also wanted to maybe also stay close with the guys. And so she was really walking a fine line. And she was being very, very quiet, and I think she didn't want part of the fight once they were in the in the war room, because she said about Arsenio, she was like, "How are we going to go on?" What did I just say?
Oh my gosh, that just reminds me of Diana saying wardroom when she couldn't say boardroom.
No,
she
they called it war room.
No, they called it the war room.
That's what Paul called it. Paul calls it.
Oh, I kept thinking I was hearing it just because Diana kept.
You and Diana's voice is really plaguing you, but you're gonna get through that.
I keep getting back to the war room.
Okay.
But Teresa said, I don't know how we're going to go on after this. And it's true. And Teresa, I thought, was pretty mature.
But in your news, I'm sure you have other stories along that lines or whatever. But the thing is, even when Aubrey was sitting here, I was even saying, and she explained how, God, her fans she loves because it is sort of tough to back her up. And I was like, you telling me, it is hard to support Aubrey because people hate on you for riding with her. So Teresa, I don't blame her for what she kind of did or didn't do, because Teresa, the best strategy move for her was not necessarily to be like, yeah, girl, I got this crazy one's back. I'm not thinking Aubrey's crazy, and I don't think Teresa thought that either, but at the same time, strategy-wise, I will give Teresa those points because you don't want to jump into that line of fire.
Stay out of it.
And you know what? Bottom line, it's like the girl, gosh, if you look at the boardroom, and you look at the way the guys have dealt with things, and you look at the way the girls have dealt with things, I mean, it seems so much nicer to be with the guys. And I'm sure Teresa is a little relieved that the cattiness is not there, because the guys, even still with Clay talking, I mean, they were all getting along so well. And even Dee, you remember when Dee was sitting in there with Lisa, everybody had left when they were doing the strategizing, and everyone had left the room, and Lisa just wanted to, Diana, and Dee was just like, oh my gosh, he didn't even want to get into it. And it's like, I felt a little bad for Lisa because she couldn't find anybody to talk to her,
we know how that feels when you really got shit to say on somebody and no one will agree with you. You're like, come on, what are you, nuts?
And I think it was such a different world when he split those teams up. It's like you took all the calm people, the diplomatic people, and you mixed them up with the women who were a little bit crazy, and it's like no one really knew what to do with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Lisa, again, this is Lisa's job to talk about people. And all of a sudden, when you don't feel like people are on your side, when you're doing what you do best, it's got to be a weird feeling. If you're in a room of people who don't speak English and you're trying to tell them a joke, they're not going to get it.
I don't think she's negative all the time, though. I think that because the girls have had such a hard time, the past few weeks, that they've become more negative and more cranky and felt like they've had to really watch their backs. And now it's like, they don't know how to not talk about people.
She's cracking. For sure.
She's having a nervous breakdown.
Well, this definitely opens up, for us to move to commercial so we could do predictions, because now that the teams have switched, I think a lot of our viewpoints kind of switch. I'm kind of feeling Diana now just because of the position she's in.
But let's
not in the old team, but now. So that's why predictions will be fun. Go ahead.
Right before we go to commercial, I just want to say that I think Diana being on a team with men, she has the opportunity to shine a little bit because the women wouldn't give her that opportunity. So I think the men are embracing her and allowing her to be her. She might not be the best businesswoman in the world, but they're letting her more positive sides shine. And from someone who grew up with mostly boys, I always fared better with boys because they embraced me rather than me trying to change for the girls that didn't really want me. So
no, the switching of teams
and
is
they definitely didn't want her.
They didn't.
Who didn't want?
The girls.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, no. Diana was on the chopping block. She was off
3 in a row.
Life support, to stay on.
Ooh, and
once those, yes.
I'm so sorry.
Well, let's do a commercial and then we'll figure out what the rest of that thought was. Celebrity Apprentice, the after show right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. Commercial time.
AfterBuzz TV. Hi, I was once like you, a lazy, angry loner whose only joy was watching TV and surfing the net. And like you, after I'd see one of my favorite TV shows, I'd be so excited and have so many questions that I'd actually have to talk to my douchebag coworkers about it at the water cooler. Then I discovered AfterBuzzTV.com. AfterBuzz TV produces after-show webcasts and podcasts for TV series of all kinds, like post-game wrap-up shows for all your favorite TV shows. AfterBuzz TV hosts are industry insiders who break down episodes of shows, take calls from fans, and interview cast and crew from each series, with over 60 different after shows, from Boardwalk Empire to American Idol to Vampire Diaries to Real Housewives, and more. Now, after a night of TV, I can ignore my stupid coworkers, who I hate, and go straight to my desk and watch or listen to all my favorite AfterBuzz TV after shows, and have all the TV fan interaction I need. Thank you, AfterBuzz TV.
AfterBuzz TV. What do you want to buzz about?
Listening.
Hey, hello. What do you want to buzz about? Buzz. Okay, hey, we are back. Celebrity Apprentice, the after show, AfterBuzzTV.com. And as another reminder, we love our iTunes comments. We love our ratings. We love for you to communicate with us on YouTube. We love having the conversation because here's the thing. There's every week 2 hours worth of this show, and there's a lot to talk about. So keep the conversation going. At the end of the show, we'll give out our Twitter handles, all that good stuff. A couple things just to kind of go back to that were actually interesting. Kimlai was talking about, I had said Debbie took a kind of a high road and left, with dignity or whatever, and you said except for her dress. But there was sort of a reason she did that because she probably shouldn't even went home. My favorite could have went home. Break that down, Kimlai.
Yeah, well, really, if you think about the way the game is played, she should not have been the one being called back into the boardroom.
Speaking on Debbie.
Yes, it should have been Aubrey.
For the first boardroom.
Yes. Oh boy, we're back at the first.
Did you already
I thought
rearrange where it's at?
I kept thinking this was the.
No, this was the first one.
Tonight.
This might actually be a good transition into the gossip about Teresa and Aubrey, because they are actually good friends, and Teresa did not bring Aubrey back into the boardroom.
No, she didn't. And now I'm getting it because it's the first one.
It's okay. 3 hours show.
It was based on. I mean, the task was bringing in the most money. Whoever brings in the most money, and Aubrey clearly did. Granted, she brought in 20 grand. That's a lot of money. But for this task, it was the least amount of money. So if you think about the task, technically, she should have been brought back. Diana, just because she's brought back every week anyway. I mean, that's where I am with her. Whatever. It's an easy target.
This question. Do you think that they maybe should set rules that you should only judge the people on your team by this task and not the past task?
No. Are you crazy?
No.
This is television you want to watch.
It wouldn't be fun anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Come on,
I mean, I'm not
Kristen.
suggesting it. I'm just wondering because everyone didn't bring. Well, Teresa, she's friends with Aubrey, but maybe another reason she didn't bring her back is because Aubrey has a lot of ideas, and you don't want to get rid of her.
No, girl.
Maybe there's all
no.
kinds of reasons you could not
Her
bring her
and
back. You could-
Debbie,
She didn't like Debbie. It was just personal.
I was just throwing it out there. This is not a personal opinion of mine that they should do this. I was just throwing it out there for sake
but I
of
think that's what makes it
conversation.
so fun to watch because there's multiple reasons. It's like she brought Debbie back because she didn't like Debbie. She didn't bring Aubrey back because she was Aubrey's friend. That's not a problem. That's good credit to Aubrey for playing that side of the game. And she also probably, and I would say other people don't bring a strong player back because that strong player may get your ass to the door. So there's a lot of different reasons why you bring people back, which is why I love to watch the show.
How funny how off track they get. I mean, this is a clear example of what are they going at 5 a.m. and they're there till 10 p.m. It's like every day. It's like insane. It's like so catty and crazy. It's like you're the project manager. You know what the 3 criteria are. You know why people should be coming back, but you're going to get so personal. It's like, I don't like her and I'm bringing her back to the boardroom.
That's exactly
that's
what
it becomes about. So
and
you're
that's
not
why
even,
I asked that question.
And you know what?
because
That's
it's
not
like,
a good strategy. Well, okay, she got fired, but
It didn't
Right,
matter for Teresa.
If Debbie didn't end up going home and she stayed, all of a sudden there's this huge gap between Teresa and between Debbie. And all of a sudden, maybe the team isn't working as great. Or next time Debbie is project manager, Teresa's going to be brought back to the boardroom.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, there's one celebrity apprentice. So Teresa would have done everything in her power to get Debbie fired, even if she didn't get fired this time.
I just love the power shift. I really do. I'm a
It is a
huge
power
fan
shift.
of Big Brother, and there are situations. It's weird on this one. You would think project managers in this case sort of have a little power. They actually don't. They actually sometimes are project manager and go against the resistance of the team, which is Teresa's argument was like, well, Debbie, you didn't work for me, which is a really, honest to God, I hate to say it, it's a great ploy. If you don't like that person who's project manager, you kind of could leave them hanging, and no one really could expose you. They could complain about you, but they actually, it's hard to throw stats out on that.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have it wrapped up in a beautiful package you can show the Trump.
Yeah. Like, how do you say that person gave me attitude? I mean, you could say it, but like, what? But
I like those tasks where it's based on the money, like whoever brings in. It's
I
all
don't know.
because
I don't really
you know
like
what?
those ones.
It's
Bottom
kind of unfair.
line is you didn't bring in any money. Okay, I'm gonna bring you back. And
that's how they
you did it.
vote. Kimlai at the beginning of the show. They do it very statistical, like, oh, well, you brought him,
like that.
but no, personality is what this game is all about. I believe Kristen has a couple little news items, so let's do some news.
Ooh, girl,
and I
let's
would,
hear it.
yeah.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So, as we just mentioned, Teresa Giudice and Aubrey O'Day are quite close, and this all happened because of Celebrity Apprentice. Teresa was on Aubrey's Ustream chat
Yes.
the other day.
Girl, she was at her house.
Yeah, and they were dishing about Celebrity Apprentice. And so Teresa wrote a blog recently specifically about Aubrey called All About Aubrey, which to no avail. She said a lot of really good things about her. But she said, basically defending her behavior, but also kind of, being honest about who she is. She said the thing is, she's young and she's a little hyper and she talks a lot. It does aggravate other people on Celebrity Apprentice. I can see how it looks to the viewers, but here's how I see it. She's young, and I was the same way at 27. You're just on fire to prove to the world how smart you are. And she said most people are writing her about how much she hates Aubrey, and she says in capital letters, I love her. So they are really close, and
Well, as close as you can be.
the title of that article definitely spun it the other way. And in other news, I've talked a couple times about how Clay Aiken just looks so like Clay, and
Space doesn't look like a normal human being.
yeah,
Or
and
like the guy on American Idol.
Oh, he's years away from that face.
yeah, so yeah,
Really?
that was in 2003 when he was on American Idol with his innocent face, and since then, he didn't admit when he got surgery done, but he did tell Andy Cohen from Bravo on Watch What Happens Live. He said, I had operative surgery on my jaw for TMJ. And since I was down, I was like, you know what? I'm already down. Go ahead and take the vacuum in there and suck out the fat for my chin. And so he...
Wait, he did what?
TMJ,
right
that's
here.
what they all say. That's when your jaw clicks.
Oh, that's the excuse to get the plastic surgery?
Well, it's just like people who say that they have like
With the
nasal
nose,
passage.
yes.
And then they come out with the
Deviated septum.
I had a
Ding,
deviated
ding, ding.
septum, and they did not tell me that was something that you should try to sneak in there. So I'm still stuck with the bump.
What, was he lying about the plastic surgery, or is it just more?
He just has never admitted it until
Oh, got
now,
it.
and it's
Yeah.
he didn't have like crazy like eye lifts. He didn't admit that. He just said he had like basically lipo on his face, which is weird, but because I think he looks a lot more worked on than just that.
Yeah.
But
oh,
I mean,
that's what they do. They say I did the one thing,
Right.
which is the way for you to digest it.
It's like then why is your hairline like that? Like he
Okay,
just
I've got
looks
to
different.
go
so.
do before and after pictures tonight.
Yeah.
I've got to look at him before, because I think he looks fine. I don't know.
he's one heck of
I
a
think-
singer, so there's at least that. But yeah, his
I
face
like
does look-
Clay
Yes.
a lot. He's super
But it does.
likable.
He's a good player on
It does
Celebrity.
He's
look a
doing
little
really well.
different.
Yeah.
Shall we do predictions time since we feel like there's a lot of people to talk about? Predictions time.
I'm kind of torn, you guys,
Your AfterBuzz TV.
because there's Penn and I forgot her name. Penn
Diana?
and no. Who's the other strong
Okay, there's
woman?
only a few.
Lisa.
Lisa.
On the same team. And I think they're both really strong players. So
I feel like Lisa's gonna fight for it. Penn may have like another engagement that he has to go to. I'm not saying Penn's not in it, but
You're right. Penn doesn't
Is that
seem
the-
as passionately involved as Lisa because
Lisa
we
will
have
slap
seen,
a small baby to get this win.
I've kind of been that's true, and I will do it with her. But I've kind of been counting now, and I think she's been on camera with tears welling up in her eyes or dripping down. I think at least 4 times now over the course of
that's
the
just
season.
tonight's episode. What are you talking
Right,
about?
right. And then she had the other meltdown, maybe the first or second episode.
Yeah.
But she's definitely into it more than Penn. I think Penn, if another opportunity came at him, he wouldn't mind throwing this to the wind and saying, I have something else to do.
Yeah.
But Clay's the strong guy on the other team, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Unless Aubrey comes back.
Do we know?
Rational.
I want to know. Communicate with us, you guys, on iTunes, because I know you love to, speak with us. So just let us know what you know, because we just finished watching the episode. Does she come back? She's tweeted so many different things. Of course, I was following it, and it's like vague, like I can come back if I want to, or I don't really understand what she's trying to say. So I guess that's what has all of us going back to NBC's show next week. So I don't know. I feel like Diana really has a shot at going a lot further than I did. She was done. She had no chance, and now she's on a team of 2 strong people. So between Penn and Lisa, they are bigger and brighter personalities, so Diana could just contribute, kind of fly under the radar. I know she's not necessarily trying to do that. You have Lisa, who will fight with anybody.
If Diana won this whole thing, Lisa's heart would explode.
I don't think that's going to happen. No.
I don't,
you don't think she will?
either. I predict Diana is not going to win.
Yeah, no, she's not going to win. I don't think
Very
that's
good prediction.
Thank you.
Kimlai.
Thank you.
But
thank
as
you.
far as I've seen so far, the Donald has been so on her side. So
Who's the next to go? I mean, it's hard to tell because you don't know who's project manager or whatnot.
I think the next to go is Teresa.
I was
She's
gonna
got a
say,
strong player.
Well,
She's
now
ready.
it doesn't matter, obviously, if you're
Why?
project manager or not. We can actually predict what we think or who might go.
Yes, we can. Well, we really love talking about Celebrity Apprentice. I mean, I feel like out of all the shows we do on AfterBuzz, like my emotions get behind this one because it is so exciting because there's like strategy and how the people play and an obsession with Aubrey O'Day. There's just so much to go off. But if you guys want to keep that conversation, please, again, iTunes, we love it. Or you can follow us on our own personal Twitters after you follow at AfterBuzz TV. Mine is at Ronnie Jr. Media.
Mine is at Kimlai Yingling.
Beautiful name.
You go ahead.
@_ Alina 23.
And I'm at Kristen Carney. And go to my blog, sweatthesmallstuffwithkristen.com, and share it with your friends.
So you know who was sweating on today's show? Lou
Me.
Ferrigno.
He always is sweating, isn't he?
He's sweating.
Oh, it was so much.
Lou
terrible.
Ferrigno took the boardroom sweat to a whole nother level.
Oh, yeah.
But again, stay in touch. Hit us up on YouTube. Let's keep the conversation going. Celebrity Apprentice, the after show. Thank you, Phil and Kevin and John, all the huge
And vote
production
for
team we
Maria.
have back
Woo.
here.
Vote for Maria.
Team Manuff. We're out here. AfterBuzz Celebrity Apprentice. Thank you.
Bye.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz
you later!
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.